Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya al mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, inshallah we are developing the series of videos for our life coach training program, which we are providing free to the world under our Khalifa Education Foundation and Post-Islamic Psychology Center initiative. We call it Excel Ummah Global Initiative, to train as many life coaches to help solve the challenges of the Ummah in the 21st century. So whether we are working as volunteers in the mosques or Islamic community centers, or we are volunteers within certain schools or NGO, or even for our own family, our children, our immediate neighbors, we can use this methodology and get yourself certified. It's very easy. Go to our website, Islamic Psychology .net, and then you have all the details there for you to go. So the previous video I explained to you the challenges of atheism, because this is the greatest challenge facing the Ummah in the 21st century. We are living in a world where the dominant ideology of life in the modern or postmodern world is materialistic, atheistic, scientific atheism, so-called. So it is like a blinder. It is like something that is just imposed on all human beings because of the worldview. This worldview started some 300 years ago because of the conflict between the church and the scientists. But that is more of a Judeo-Christian scientific conflict, but not an Islamic conflict, because Islam embraces science, embraces technology, embraces the worldview of that this world is a good world. We have this world that we have to make it good. So what is important is that there is no dichotomy, or there is no such thing as secular or religious in Islam. Everything is an ayah, or the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to follow. So if we are going to be a coach, or a life coach, or a teacher, or a mentor or motivator, you have to understand this Islamic worldview. Because if we want to do that, then we must understand that maintaining our Islamic religiosity, this is the second challenge, which is related to the first challenge. So how are we going to maintain the religiosity, especially of our generation that is to come in this 21st century, as they face the onslaught of materialism, the onslaught of atheism, the onslaught of a worldview that is not consonant with the values of spirituality of Islam? Then we lose them out. So we may be practicing Muslims, our children or our grandchildren may have lost all idea of what Islam is all about, unless we take proactive action now. That's why, inshallah, our initiative is to take this proactive action to train as many people as possible to help the Islamic community, because we must have trained life coaches, train motivators, train mentor, train counselors to help shape the future of the Ummah. So how are we going to maintain the religiosity of a Muslim? Is basically, we must understand the falsehood of this materialistic lifestyle. Everything in the material world is just a facade, and this facade is basically being propagated as the only thing and the end of everything. So we are then moving towards a society that is being controlled externally by the what? By the corporations. The corporations, the multinationals, the businesses and so on, is putting across the idea that everything is acquiring of material wealth. So everybody, especially now the emphasis on the Muslims, especially the Muslims in some rich countries, all right, everything is, you must have a nice house, a big bungalow, all right. You may be 3 people in the family, but you have a bungalow that is maybe 10 rooms, 12 rooms. Oh, we must have guest room, we must have this room, we must have the servants room, we must have this, we must have that. So acquisition of a very luxurious lifestyle. Then you must have, for example, acquisition of things that are branded. Oh, you cannot just use an ordinary handbag. If you are of this status, you must buy a handbag that is worth 200 or 300,000 dollars to show that you are status. But it's just a stupid leather bag, all right, being stitched together, and you carry a logo, whether it is brand X or Y or Z, And then you just walk around and you show, oh, you have that. Then you acquire more wealth. You acquire more things. You keep in your store in the house. Your store in the house overflow. Then what you do? You go and rent other place and keep more things. And then you keep more things. So that is the whole idea. You have one car, you go for the second car, you go for the third car, you have a garage full of cars. All right? You have one glasses, you go for number 2, number 3, maybe you have one cabinet full of glasses. So you don't use all that. So these are the wastefulness, but that is the trend in terms of the brainwashing that is being imposed throughout the world. So we Muslims are the most susceptible. So we see a lot of Muslims living in a very extreme so-called luxurious lifestyle, whereas they cannot afford. So what they do, they have credit cards. So the credit card company says, don't worry, you spend, all right, and then you just can pay slowly. So what you do, you acquire more debt out of your so-called going for holidays in XYZ country, going for like luxurious wedding for your daughter, you borrow. And so these are the things that we as an ummah actually are losing out our religiosity, because other people's program are programming us. It is not our program. Our program is what? Our program is the fulfillment of this dunya in a moderate, good way. That's why in Islam is always our dua, which our Prophet Muhammad SAW asked us to repeat many times. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah. So we want this hasanah in this world. Wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azaban nar. So we want both. But having one both doesn't mean that it is excessive greed. It doesn't mean excessive consumption. It doesn't mean that just forgetting the spiritual realm. So we have, in our previous video, we have explained to you the 4 realms of our existence. We have our spiritual, our ruh, we have our qalb, our heart, we have our akal, our mind, and we have our jasad, our physical body. All of them are this integrated realm of a holistic self. That is Islam. So if we can understand that, then we can have the joy of living a good life, full of peace, full of happiness, full of fulfillment, full of barakah, full of rahmah, full of the love of Allah, the grace of Allah, the mercy of Allah, the forgiveness of Allah, and all those beautiful things that is part and parcel of this deen. So if we cannot transform our life now, how are we going to send this message to our children who is now facing this materialism, who's facing the same thing, every friend of them? For example, younger people, they may have a bicycle, the next thing they want is a motorcycle. After they have the motorcycle, they want a car. After they have the car, they want a better car, so that they can go into races and then maybe crash themselves and half destroy themselves, and that kind of thing. So all those is based on an anti-religious movement within the world today, that is emphasizing on greed, on materialism, on just physical satisfaction, which encompasses free sex, drugs, alcohol, addiction to all kind, pornography, and so on. So those are the things that we have to face a challenge, inshallah, through our program. That means our certified life coach. We hope more and more young people, especially those in universities, we can groom you to be leaders. Then you can help your fellow brothers and sisters who are Muslims in the universities to have a more balanced life. And if we can save our generation and the next generation, inshallah, the stars will shine for this ummah to lead humanity, because all of us are lost. It is just like the old parable that, when describing 7 blind people about an elephant, they all touch different part of the elephant and they say, okay, an elephant is look like a trunk, an elephant is look like a tree, an elephant looks like a tail, and so on. So each of the 7 people, all of them are blind. So this is the blindness of the dunya that the materialism want to impose on us. It is their agenda. But we have our agenda, that is the agenda of truth. We are not going to be programmed by this materialistic, hedonistic, greedy worldview that is going to destroy us, our family, and the whole world. We are moving towards an end time in which it is very, very dangerous. If we don't change within the next 50 years, then we have a catastrophe that is coming to all humanity. All right, whether it's climate change, whether it is social strife, whether it is psychological challenges. All right, and this is getting out of control. For example, in the Western world, in Canada, or for example, 51% of the young people are having psychological problems. Not 1, 2, 51%. And Canada is a very rich country. Why are they having this problem of dissatisfaction with life, the problems of addiction, the problems of anxiety, the problems of depression, the problems of suicidal ideation? Why? Because they have bought into this idea of materialism, and that doesn't give them satisfaction, but they could not exit from that worldview. So our Islamic worldview will be a beautiful worldview of balance. We have this goodness of this world, we try to strive and enjoy this world in a joyful, balanced, meaningful way, having a good relationship with ourselves, our spouses, our family, our children, bringing them up with the full of love, of care, of share, full of iman towards the Creator who put us all here. So maintaining religiosity is a very challenging thing in relation to the worldview of atheism that we are facing today, but that is not an impossible task. That is the journey why Allah has ordained us to live in this 21st century, and through our effort and the effort of all thinking Muslims. This is only one little initiative that we try to do, to give you all free life coach training program, because based on my experience as a coach and mentor in the commercial world for many years, this is one thing that I can give back to you, give back to society before I leave my sojourn on this earth. So we can do together. Some of you may be experienced counselors, some of you may be having gone through becoming principals of schools, or doctors, or lawyers, or psychiatrists, or engineers. Come together, find a worldview that you can promote and do it. Now we have all the tools of the internet that we can reach out to thousands and thousands and thousands of you. So subscribe to our channel, spread this positive message of free life coach training program online, which you can go to our website islamicspsychology.net and join us together in first reforming ourselves, transforming ourselves, then reforming our family, then our local society, our mosques, our community centers, and then the ummah as a whole. So inshallah, if we do that, then we not only can maintain our religiosity, being a Muslim, but we can help others who are lost in this world to come to understand this beautiful deen and live with the full of love and mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, making the world good, inshallah.